It's 11:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. A 32-year-old named Marcus is sitting in his driveway with the car engine turned off, staring blankly at his phone. The glowing screen shows a 24-year-old influencer giving a tour of a new beachfront house, casually mentioning how easy it is to hit $1 million before turning 30. Marcus switches over to his banking app. The screen loads. Checking account shows $2,400. Savings hold $6,100. His retirement account sits at $31,000. He locks his phone, rests his head against the steering wheel, and feels a heavy, sinking knot in his stomach. The thought in his head is loud and brutal. He is falling completely behind. This quiet, hidden panic happens in driveways, living rooms, and office cubicles all across the country every single night. Millions of hard-working people look at their age, look at their bank accounts, and feel like they missed the boat. The internet has convinced an entire generation that if you don't have a massive investment portfolio and a paid-off house by your early 30s, you are failing at life. But that glowing screen is lying to you. Today, we are going to tear down the fake internet flexes and look at the raw, undeniable math of how wealth is actually built in the real world. I am going to show you the exact age when normal, everyday people finally cross the $100,000 mark. Then we will look at when that number officially turns into $500,000. And finally, the actual age when a normal person hits that legendary $1 million finish line. My experience has given me a front row seat to see how money truly works for everyday earners. By sitting with data analysts and looking at real banking behaviors, I have learned that building wealth is not about getting lucky in your 20s. It is a mathematical timeline, and understanding this timeline is the greatest anxiety killer you will ever find. Let's start by looking at a financial trap that almost everyone falls into. It is called the average versus median deception. When you search online to see how much money you should have at your age, the numbers are usually terrifying. Financial articles will tell you that the average net worth for someone under 35 is over $180,000. When a normal person reads that number, they feel defeated instantly. They have less than $40,000 to their name. How is the average person their age walking around with nearly 200 grand? They aren't. And this is how the math plays tricks on your mind. Imagine a local coffee shop with 9 regular people sitting inside. They all have a net worth of exactly $30,000. Then a billionaire walks through the front door to buy a cup of coffee. Suddenly, the average net worth of everyone in that room shoots up to over $100 million. Did those 9 normal people get richer? Not at all. The math simply got hijacked by one extreme outlier. This exact same thing happens with national wealth statistics. The ultra-wealthy top 1% completely destroy the average numbers, making the middle class feel poor. Because they feel behind, they try to sprint. They buy risky crypto coins hoping for a quick 10 times return. They take out heavy loans to start side businesses. They do not understand. They try to cheat the timeline out of pure desperation. To find the truth and stop the panic, you have to look at the median net worth instead. The median simply lines everyone up from poorest to richest and picks the person standing exactly in the middle. It cuts out the billionaires entirely. It shows you the actual normal person, and the normal numbers change the entire story. For people under 35, that median net worth is roughly $39,000. That includes everything: cash, cars, and small retirement accounts. That person sitting in their driveway wasn't falling behind at all. They were standing exactly where the timeline says they should be. When you hit your late 30s and early 40s, the median net worth only bumps up to about $135,000. It is a slow, grinding climb. The timeline proves that wealth does not explode overnight. It requires years of quiet, boring defense. It requires waking up, going to work, saving a piece of your paycheck, and ignoring the noise on your phone. But getting to that first real milestone is what stops most people in their tracks. It is a barrier so brutal and so exhausting that most people give up before they ever cross it. It is the absolute hardest money you will ever have to save. The legendary investor Charlie Munger once shared a brutal truth about building wealth. He said the first $100,000 is a nightmare, but you simply have to do it. He didn't say it was slightly difficult or mildly annoying. He called it a nightmare because the mathematical reality of starting from zero fights against your human psychology every single day. Imagine putting your first $10,000 into an investment account. You worked extra shifts, skipped vacations, and packed your lunch for an entire year just to hit that number. After 12 months of the market doing its normal work, that $10,000 might turn you an extra $800. $800 is great, but it does not change your life. It does not pay your rent or buy your freedom. It feels like you just climbed a massive mountain to find a few coins sitting at the top. This is exactly why the timeline to your first major financial milestone is so incredibly slow. For the everyday earner starting from nothing, reaching $100,000 takes about 5 to 7 years of intense, unbroken discipline. During this entire phase, your money is lazy. The magic of compound interest that everyone talks about online is barely noticeable. Over 90% of that first 100 grand comes directly from your own paycheck. paycheck. Your investments are not doing the heavy lifting. Your daily sacrifices are doing all the work. This creates massive mental exhaustion. You watch your friends go out every weekend. You see coworkers pulling up to the office in brand new SUVs with zero down payments. Meanwhile, you are manually transferring $400 a month into an index fund and watching the balance crawl upward like a snail. It feels deeply unfair. Around year 3 or 4, a very dangerous thought creeps into your head. You start thinking, what is the point of all this saving if I still feel completely broke? This is the exact moment when the average person quits. The fatigue wins. They pull their money out, put a down payment on a car they cannot afford, and completely reset their wealth timeline back to zero. They trade their future freedom for temporary relief from the boredom of saving. But if you lock your focus and survive this nightmare phase, the math suddenly flips in your favor. Once you finally cross that $100,000 mark, your money wakes up. That same normal market return is no longer giving you a few $100. It is handing you $8,000 a year in pure growth. That is mathematically the same as having a tiny, invisible second job. An invisible worker is now handing you an extra paycheck every single month, and you never had to clock in, answer an email, or deal with a boss to get it. The timeline completely compresses from here. It took you 7 grueling years to push that heavy snowball to the top of the hill to reach the first $100,000. But the next $100,000 might only take you 3.5 years. The third $100,000 takes even less time. The snowball is finally rolling down the other side of the hill, gathering size and speed entirely on its own. But crossing this first huge milestone usually happens right as you enter your 30s, which is exactly when life gets violently expensive. Just as your investments finally start working for you, you step into a decade where society demands every single dollar you have. Society demands every single dollar you have through a barrage of major life events. The 30s and early 40s are notoriously called the messy middle of finance. You are invited to endless weddings, you might start a family, and the pressure to finally buy a house reaches an absolute boiling point. During this decade, a strange financial illusion takes over your life. You look at your net worth tracker and see numbers like $200,000 or $300,000. On paper, you are doing fantastic, but in reality, you feel completely broke. You check your bank account and see barely enough liquid cash to cover a sudden roof repair or an unexpected medical bill. This happens because of the house rich, cash poor trap. Net worth is simply everything you own minus everything you owe. If you buy a $500,000 house with a $400,000 mortgage, you instantly add $100,000 to your net worth. It looks incredible on a spreadsheet, but that money is entirely trapped inside drywall, wood, and roof shingles. You cannot take your living room to the grocery store to buy food. You cannot use your backyard equity to pay for your kids' braces. Add in a standard $600 monthly car payment and your liquid wealth is completely paralyzed. The actual cash you can touch and use vanishes the moment your paycheck hits your account. People in their 30s and 40s often have decent net worths on paper but are completely suffocating in monthly payments. They are running on a financial treadmill set to the highest speed, terrified of missing a single paycheck because their entire lifestyle depends on it. Surviving this phase requires mastering the invisible milestones. These are not exciting moments you can post online or brag about at a dinner party. They are the quiet, unglamorous choices you make behind closed doors. It is the active decision to keep driving your 10-year-old car even after you get a major promotion at work. It is the refusal to fall into the two-income trap, where couples combine their salaries and immediately double their lifestyle expenses to match their new combined income. The real winners of this wealth timeline are the ones playing extreme defense. They say no to the bigger house with the extra guest room that only gets used twice a year. They protect their cash flow at all costs. Building wealth between $100,000 and $300,000 is undeniably boring. Your investments are growing, but they are not large enough to let you quit your job yet. It is a waiting game that tests your patience every single day. You have to let your investments grow quietly in the background while everyone else around you is busy upgrading their lives to look wealthy. It feels like you are standing perfectly still while the rest of the world is moving forward, but by protecting your cash flow and refusing to inflate your lifestyle, you eventually reach a mathematical breaking point. A point where your money becomes so heavy and powerful that it takes on a life of its own, dragging you toward the $500,000 mark faster than you ever thought possible. This is where the math finally becomes incredibly fun. When you cross into your late 40s and early 50s, a massive shift happens for the consistent investor. The median earner who played defense and kept putting money away is now staring down a $500,000 net worth. Warren Buffett famously calls this the snowball effect. If you pack a small snowball and roll it down a long, snow-covered hill, it picks up a little more snow with every single rotation. At the top of the hill, it barely grows at all. It takes constant pushing and shoving just to keep it moving, but near the bottom of the hill, the snowball is massive. Just one single turn adds more snow than the entire first 10 years of rolling combined. This is exactly what happens to your money when it approaches $500,000. Remember Remember how that first $100,000 took 7 grueling years to save from your own pocket? Because of timeline compression, going from $400,000 to $500,000 might only take 2 years. You are no longer doing the heavy lifting. The market is doing it for you. Your money is now so large that a standard market return of 8% hands you roughly $40,000 in a single year. For many people at this stage of the timeline, their investment portfolio starts making more money than their actual day job. You could go to work for 12 months, earn $50,000, and realize your investments just quietly grew by $60,000 while you were sitting at your desk. The weight of building wealth is officially transferred from your tired shoulders directly to the stock market. Reaching this tipping point requires zero magic. It just requires you to stop interrupting the math. The people who hit this $500,000 mark in their late 40s are the ones who refuse to cash out their retirement accounts to pay off a credit card. They did not pull their money out of the market because the news told them the economy was looking bad. They simply left the money alone and let the snowball keep rolling. But what happens after $500,000? Everyone online constantly talks about the ultimate finish line of $1 million, claiming you can hit it in your 20s if you just buy the right crypto coin or start the perfect online business. The raw data showing who actually crosses that 7-figure mark paints a completely different picture of the real world. The real world is not filled with 25-year-old crypto millionaires driving rented sports cars in short viral videos. If you look closely at the raw data and decades of research from sources like the millionaire next door, the actual average millionaire in America looks completely different than what you see on your phone. They are usually 57-year-old teachers, middle management accountants, and local engineers. They wear normal clothes, buy their groceries on sale, and drive used sedans that are at least 5 years old. You would never guess they have $1 million sitting in the bank just by looking at them. They reached that massive 7-figure finish line because they understood exactly how to play the game using the absolute best tools available. They did not inherit a massive trust fund or start a billion-dollar tech company. Instead, they used the boring, everyday mechanics of the financial system to their advantage. The secret to their timeline is heavily tied to tax-advantaged accounts like a 401k or an IRA. These accounts act like a legal, invisible shield around your money. When you invest inside these specific accounts, the government cannot touch your growth with heavy taxes every single year by keeping the taxman away from their investments. These everyday earners allowed their money to grow at the absolute maximum speed possible. Every single dollar they saved went directly into building their own net worth instead of paying unnecessary tax bills. But the most important rule they followed to hit $1 million had nothing to do with math. It had everything to do with patience. They absolutely refused to interrupt their compound interest. When the stock market crashed and the news was screaming that the economy was over, they did not panic. They did not log into their accounts and sell their index funds out of fear. They just kept making their normal, automatic contributions every single month, buying investments while they were cheap. Hitting $1 million is not a fast process for the normal earner. The timeline proves that crossing this milestone usually happens in a person's late 50s or early 60s. It is the grand finale of a 30-year working career built on consistent, boring index fund investing and extreme lifestyle defense. It proves that anyone can reach the top of the financial mountain if they are willing to simply stay on the path longer than everyone else. But staring at that massive $1 million finish line brings up a very critical question that most people forget to ask themselves. That critical question is simply, what is your actual finish line? The internet has forced this $1 million number into your brain as the ultimate goal for success. But true wealth is not measured by the absolute size of your bank account. It is measured by a powerful concept called optionality. Optionality is your ability to make choices entirely on your own terms. If you have $400,000 saved and you purposely keep your monthly living expenses incredibly low, you possess massive wealth. You have the option to walk away from a toxic job today without a second thought. You have the option to take 6 months off to spend with your family or start a small business you actually care about. You have the option to sleep peacefully at night without panicking over the next massive mortgage payment. Your money has bought you the absolute ultimate luxury, which is complete control over your own time. Accumulating over $1 million means absolutely nothing if your lifestyle costs $10,000 every single month just to maintain. That high overhead turns a massive net worth into a golden cage. A person with a massive portfolio but equally massive expenses is still trapped working a high-stress job just to keep the lights on and pay for the luxury cars parked in the driveway. The number on the screen looks impressive to the outside world, but their actual optionality is zero. You have to define what enough looks like for your own life based on your own income right now. Do not let a random social media post dictate your financial goals or make you feel like you are falling behind the timeline. The math proves that wealth building is a slow, steady, and entirely predictable path. You just have to start playing defense, keep your living expenses low, automate your savings, and let the compounding snowball do the rest of the heavy lifting. If you found this real-world detailed breakdown helpful and want to take full control of your financial future, make sure to subscribe to Marcit. We will keep bringing you the clear, simple steps to build reliable, long-term stability.